Welcome to the Journey Amplified, and this is another session where we are sharing stories of newcomers and immigrants here in New Brunswick. Today we have a story that's really dear to our hearts. We're going to be hearing from the Ukrainian Association of Moncton, formerly known as the Ukrainian Club of Moncton. We're going to be speaking to some of their members, and we will be hearing the stories of what they have been doing, the work they have been doing in the community, how they have been helping to settle families, and we will hear how we can support them as well as community members here in Moncton, New Brunswick. Hi, Natalia.
Hi.
That's a very lovely shirt that you have on there.
Yeah, I love it. I got it from a local business, Masquerade, who've been supporting us and creating a line of shirts, hoodies, and water bottles with Ukrainian symbols or inscriptions.
That is amazing. Well, I should let
thank
you introduce yourself. Let's get to know you and the work that you are doing currently with the Ukrainian Association of Moncton, which was formerly the club.
Mm-hmm. So I'm one of executive members on the board of our association. And we do many different projects to support people who are still in Ukraine, whom we know, and also people who are coming to Canada from Ukraine.
The Ukrainian Association of Moncton, which was formerly the Ukrainian Club of Moncton, helps to settle Ukrainian members or nationals that arrive in Moncton, regardless of their status here in Canada. Is that correct? Is the association
well,
open
they
to...
all come in. Yeah, we one of the jobs that we do that is support of the Ukrainian newcomers who are coming specifically to Greater Moncton area, and they all pretty much come in with the same status as visitors with work permit or study permit.
Right.
There are no refugee statuses for any Ukrainians anywhere else because there is no separate refugee program for them, and there is none planned as far as we know.
How long has the association been in existence for, Natalia?
Association existed long before I was born. I think it started in 60s with some of their people who've been living here and who had Ukrainian roots and who wanted to preserve Ukrainian culture and language.
Okay.
So by the time that we immigrated here, there was already a formed community with annual gatherings and celebrations, but everything was geared more into like cultural things. Like we had Christmas dinners, we had Easter dinners, we had some summer picnics. But the things that we started doing after the war started in Ukraine in 2022. That created a different Ukrainian Club of Moncton or Ukrainian Association of Moncton from what it was since 60s.
Natalia, I want you to tell me more about that, about how things have changed since the war happened. How has that affected the work that you do as an association? And I know that that's something that is really sensitive and very personal to a lot of people around the world. I know there has been a lot of support to Ukrainians all across the world. How has that impacted the association and the work that you do right now?
Yeah, you're right. We've been overwhelmed with support from local community from literally the day first of the war. And it has been a personal journey for every present executive member, for every volunteer that we have at the club, for every newcomer, for me, myself, because we immigrated not that long ago. I came to Canada with my husband about 5 years ago, and I had my whole family, my parents, my brother with his family staying behind there. And when the war started, the main thing for me was to connect with them, to make sure that they made it to the next day. And it was like the first week or even 2 weeks, it was just unbearable because we didn't know what's going to happen with Ukraine, what's going to happen with our loved ones. And situation was evolving very fast. And for example, my native town, it was occupied by Russians on March 1st. And of course, I was so much worried about my dad who stayed there and my other family. So I've been literally just consuming the news, not being able to do anything else, and trying to reach out to my family like every couple hours when I heard something was happening in their region. And that was what was going on with every other member of our local Ukrainian community. And we all, at some point, like I think a week after the war started, we got together and we all wanted to do something about it. We all wanted to help somehow because otherwise we just felt so hopeless and useless being so far. So we started thinking about the ways we can support people that were in Ukraine. We started thinking about the ways we can start collecting humanitarian aid for them, and also about fundraising activities that we could have here and raise some money and buy things that were needed in Ukraine. And everything that we started doing had such a great response from the community. So when we found the way to start in accepting donations, people like for Ukraine, people started bringing tons of supplies. And then we had our first fundraiser at YMCA, and it was overwhelming. Like there were crowds of people who wanted to help us. And I had personally reached out to many artist friends that I had because my business is in an artistic field, and many of them, they brought us different items for our fundraising so we can sell them and raise money. So it was incredible. And then we had many more fundraisers. And with money that we raised there, we were able to finance many projects on the ground in Ukraine, such as purchasing medications for hospitals in Ukraine, purchasing food for people in occupied areas, purchasing some protective gear for Ukrainian army. We also had purchased a wholesale amount of tactical medications such as Haloxes, Quicklots, tourniquets, chest seals, and we shipped it into the bags of our volunteers to Ukraine.
Thank you so much for having this time with us. It was really a pleasure learning about the Ukrainian culture, the community, and the work that the Ukrainian Association of Moncton has been doing. It's been a pleasure chatting with you, Natalia. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much for having me. It was a pleasure as well. Right. Have a great evening.
You too. We're going to be hearing from a wonderful family who moved in just to support their Ukrainian community. They moved in all the way from Ontario. We're going to be having a chat with Vladimir and Olga. Hi, Vladimir. Hi, Olga. Can you introduce yourselves to us?
Sure. Hello, my name is Olga Timashuk. I and my husband lived in Canada for 4 years. Previously we lived in Ontario, and right now we moved to New Brunswick. We are from Ukraine.
Yeah, I'm from Ukraine. My name is Volodymyr Komarov. Specifically, I'm from Zaporizhia region, from the city called Dnipro. Unfortunately, my hometown right now is in occupation by Russian forces. So my family and Olga's mom, we took them to Canada. We helped them with like arranging the documents, and they stayed with us. And so, like, our relatives, 5 people, are now in Canada in Moncton. Yes.
Vladimir, when we spoke last, you did mention to me that you and Olga had moved in from Ontario, that you moved in just to support this work. Can you tell me about that? What inspired this? Why did you decide to make that move?
Sure. We lived in London, and Olga came to Canada to study. And right now we have our permanent residency already. So she studied programming, and I'm also working in IT. And we knew that we need to, like, after we got our permanent residency, we wanted to buy a house, and we searched for different options. We searched for options back in Ontario and in New Brunswick and in Alberta. And we decided to come to see because Moncton was really attractive to buy a house. And when we came on the third day, we came in February. So on the third day, we just like seeing some properties with our realtor here. And on the third day, the war started. So we understood that we need to buy a house. And like we were fortunate to find like this beautiful house. And we, as much as we can, we enjoyed the Moncton that week, but it was really terrible time for Ukraine. And first 2 weeks, I think was the scariest because nobody knew how it will be. But then, like, our armies started making really great progress in defending, and we know that right now, with all the support we have, the Ukrainian army will win, and we will like liberate the territories. But we bought this house and we moved in April. And because we work remotely, we can work for Ontario, and we live here.
Can you tell me a bit about some of the work you've been doing? Do you still work as in the IT field, and you also do some part-time volunteering with the association?
Yeah, Olga can tell.
Yeah, it's been very actually challenging because when the war started, it was very difficult to concentrate on work because we had to do a lot of things like bringing our family, volunteering, going to rallies, and it's been challenging. But right now, I would say we found a balance between everything, and uh, we try like there is like work-life balance. For us, it's like war-life balance because still we have family in Ukraine. Like our fathers are still there and they cannot come, and it's very difficult for us and for our moms too because they miss them a lot. And yeah, so we try to balance it all. It's difficult, but I would say it's manageable.
I'm sorry to hear that. So there's been a lot of support from the communities here in New Brunswick. I want to know about what support you are getting. Are you getting any extra support just to ensure that you are able to focus on the things and the life that you are living here while you're also trying to reach out to family and bring in family into Canada?
Yeah, I can say when the war started, actually the feeling that we got was like uh, there is nothing good in this world because when something like that happens, you especially like I would say for me, I lost some faith in the world. Like how that can happen in 21st century, like for me it was very difficult to understand. But then when we started volunteering and we saw all the support, like from Canada, how people are coming, bringing things. They donated a lot. They were helping sort to sort the packages and everything. Like so much help came from Canadians that gave a hope that uh, there is good in this world, and it gave I don't know, like really, it gave just a hope that everything is going to be all right, and that we are going to go through this. We also got like from Bob's job.
Yeah, we have the like we went to the therapy because it's I think it's like the most I could say it's the most devastating episode in our life. I hope so far, not so far, but yeah, like in the whole of our life, even with the future. But it was, I could say, it was very, very difficult, and especially after our family came here, for them, all their livelihoods, it was just ruined. And as Olga said, our fathers stayed back home, so our mothers are in very like they're in a great distress. We also try to like bring them to like there is a psychologist. She's a volunteer for Ukrainians, and she's helping with like a kind of like post-traumatic syndrome for people who are moving. And there is great like there are many resources, and um, because the situation is so serious, Canada is helping in a great way. You know, it started very slow, and it started maybe like from the bottom. So people, I think they, with all that Ukrainian rallies and with all that, so like the government started seeing that people in Canada are actually like cheering up for Ukraine and standing with Ukraine. So they are supporting that, and they are against this war and against like that what Russia does to our country. So I think like day after day there is more and more support for Ukrainians. And as you spoke with Natalia, the volunteers in Ukrainian hub, they're doing like a tremendous amount of work. We are not like Olga and I, we are volunteers, but we are not organizers. So I guess Natalia told you much more about the job done, but it's an amazing work, and it's an amazing support for Ukrainians.
I also want to mention when we moved in to Moncton on our street, and we like started meeting our neighbors, and we told that we are from Ukraine and we are expecting our family to come. Like, guys, you would see that people just packed boxes with some clothes because they knew, like, they asked, like, what are they bringing? And we told, like, you cannot bring much. They couldn't bring much because when, for example, my mom, she got to the western part of Ukraine on the evacuation train. And there on the evacuation train, you can just take a very little like suitcase. Yeah, you cannot pack a lot of things. So she didn't have like a lot, like, yeah, much clothes and everything. And people on our street, they just like packed clothes. They found toys for Bob's niece.
Yeah, we have like a child with us, like my 9-year-old niece. So yeah, for her.
They've been so nice and helpful, and like it's like it helped us a lot, and this support, it just like as Bob told in Vladimir, yeah,
Yeah.
Vladimir is
She
our
calls me Bob, yes,
That's
because it's like
fine.
English name.
English name.
Yes.
So
Yeah. So as Vladimir told, it's very nice that and very helpful for us during these challenging times to get all this support, and it's very important.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is really heartwarming. I'm glad that Canada actually really stands with Ukraine. I mean, it's not just something that they say, you can actually tell with all the communities, with the families, even with the Ukrainian nationals that arrived in New Brunswick a couple of weeks ago. You can tell that there is that support that Canada is giving. And our hearts are out there. We are praying. There are prayers that I know that have been going on. There are communities that are holding, putting together things just to ensure to help, and also to stand behind the Ukrainian community to ensure that they have all the support that is required as during this period, and to ensure that this does come out in victory eventually for Ukraine. Yeah.
Yeah, and it will be the victory for the whole world.
Yes.
Like right now, Ukraine is like on the forefront of democracy, right? And if we fail, it will be not good. It will be like a huge dictatorship in the middle of Europe. So we don't want that, and nobody wants that, right? People just want to live and be free and happy.
And that's right that you say that victory for the whole world and victory for Canada. I got to find out just after the war had started that Canada has one of the highest communities of Ukrainians actually across the whole world. The largest, I think it has the second largest community.
Yeah, after Russia, it's basically the immigration to Canada from Ukraine started in the 1800s. So it's been a long time, and Ukrainians, like for all generations, they helped to build Canada. And basically, many people in Ukraine have relatives in Canada, distant relatives who immigrated long time ago. And yeah, that's wonderful that right now Ukraine receives so much support from here.
Yes. So you are very fit to say Canada is home.
Yeah.
Yes, Canada is home. When we spoke, you told me about the church, the old church that has been the collection center. Can you tell me about that story and how that came about? That was so heartwarming.
Oh yeah. For us, because as I said, we are not organizers, we are volunteers. But so I guess Natalia told the story in full. But one day they just gathered us all and say like, "Oh, come take a look at our hub." And we came. It's 90 Park Street, I guess, in Moncton, New Brunswick, and it's a an old church building. And so right now it's a huge renovation being done. So it will be like basement would be used for short-term hosting for basically like people, Ukrainians coming from the plains, people with nothing, people who have nothing left because of war, with small children, and they will be hosted in the church for a short period of time before they find like a permanent residence, permanent place. And it's also a big hub. Olga and I, we volunteer there sorting stuff, so Olga can tell.
Yeah, people, Canadians bring in the donations there, like clothes, for example, furniture, electronics, yeah, some cutlery, some like plates and all that stuff. So, like we've been sorting out these things that when people come there, they just can take essential things that they need. For example, like, I don't know, somebody needs a frying pan, so they can take a frying pan, a towel, yeah, everything everything you need for life.
For starting up.
Yeah, for starting up. And yeah, it's became like a huge Ukrainian hub, and community like community has been helping a lot. Uh, Canadians have been helping a lot. Like a lot of people gathered there, and it just this thing is alive, I would say, and it's very nice that uh, there is like right now there is a thing, for example, like for Ukrainians it's very important that you can come to some place and meet people from your country, because they kind of understand you, they can support you, they can share stories, like what they've been through, and it's very important to share and talk about it. So it's nice that there is a place where they can come and get help.
It's
So
amazing.
we appreciate that.
That is amazing. Your story is really inspiring. It's a story of resilience and strength. What you have done, moving over in spite of the war, moving provinces in spite of the war, and having that strength to help and support other people when you know that your family is still out there and also still needing support. Your story does really show strength and resilience. And I believe that as a community, we can all come together and draw strength from that story and put out there that word of peace, put out there that word of strength, put out there that word of support. That together, when we come together, we are stronger together and we make a better community together. It's been really inspiring and heartwarming talking to you and hearing about your story. Thank you once again.
Thank you, Damian.
Thank
Yes.
you.
All right then.